여러분 안녕하십니까? CTEF 오후 학술대회 세션에 오신 여러분들을 환영합니다. 저는 오후 학술 세션 1의 사회를 맡은 청주교육대학교 박은주라고 합니다. 반갑습니다. 오전에 그 국제학술대회 기조 강연에 이어서 오후 이 세션에는 총 5분의 인터내셔널 학술 세션 발표가 있습니다. 이 학술 세션 1은 주제가 교사 발달과 변혁적 교수법이라는 소주제로 진행이 됩니다. 이 발표를 위해서 튀르키예, 오스트리아, 한국, 말레이시아, 스페인 총 5개국에서 발표자들께서 참석을 하십니다. 각 발표는 30분씩 진행이 되는데요. 한 25분간의 프레젠테이션과 5분간의 오디언스 질문으로 진행이 되도록 하겠습니다. 그러면 첫 번째 학술 발표는 튀르키예 교육부의 교육 전문가로 계신 엠라 오주렉 선생님께서 발표를 하시겠습니다. 발표 제목은 Developing Great Teachers Through Professional Development 라는 제목입니다. 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다.
안녕하십니까. 현재 나라 튀르키예에서 온 오주렉 엠라입니다. 반갑습니다. 이 자리에 저를 초대해 주셔서 정말 감사드리고요. 오늘은 제 박사 논문에 대해서 결과를 내릴 거예요. 그래서 지금부터 영어로 발표를 시작하겠습니다. So this is the title for my research. So developing great teachers through professional development, a comparative international case study in England, Israel, South Korea, and Turkey. So this research was undertaken under the supervision of Professor Vanessa Kind and Professor Doug Newton at Durham University. If you are not quite sure where Durham is about halfway up the island of Great Britain, and not Durham in North Carolina in the States. So most people haven't heard about Durham, but Durham Cathedral is one of the filming locations for Harry Potter. This is the format for the talk today. So I will give an introduction which is about the gap in the research aims, and research questions. And I will summarize some key issues in my literature review. And I will explain my theoretical stance. And I will move to how those research questions under the research design and methodology map onto each other. And finally, I will talk about the outcomes of the research and conclusions. So, the gap in the research. So I think some people, they are familiar with Gert Biesta, and he's from the Netherlands. And so Biesta, for example, claims 3 domains of education to develop great teachers. So these are qualification and socialization and subjectification. And qualification refers to teacher professional knowledge, and competencies and dispositions that teachers need to teach their subject. And socialization refers to imparting beliefs and cultures that allow teachers to live and function within current social system and perform what teachers are expected to do. And subjectification refers to wise educational judgment, which is about how to use the domain of qualification to make a decision about what works in the classroom on the spot. So the literature on great teachers focuses on the qualification domains like subject knowledge, content knowledge, and pedagogy content knowledge. But less emphasis is made on the domain of socialization and the domain of subjectification. So, as an international comparative case study, So the three objectives of this study is follows. So to investigate how professional development contributes to teachers' practice in foreign countries, so identifying similarities and differences in practices, and to investigate teachers' perception of being a great teacher in foreign nations, and to investigate how and why teachers gain wise education, judgment, or practical wisdom. So based on my objectives, so I have three questions to answer. So first one is, in what ways are the education systems of 4 countries providing teachers professional development that contributes to their teachers' practices? And the second one, in what ways is the notion of great teacher perceived in science teacher education in these 4 nations? And finally, and how and why do teachers gain wise education judgment or practical wisdom? So before get into detail, so this section, the aims of the literature review, I will mention about it a little bit more. So this section critiques perception of great teachers and defines the term great teacher. The concept of wise educational judgment or practical wisdom is also discussed, and how this is emphasized in developing teachers' practice. And literature is also examined with a focus on how community of practice supports teachers in developing their practices, specifically the concept of participation, reflection, and collaboration. And finally, I will explain my theoretical stance and explain why the community of practice is the best and suitable framework for this study. And now, let's move how high-quality teachers and teaching is perceived in the literature. So, this is a topic which is really common interest around the world. So let's start by thinking how we might approach that question. So as South Koreans famously said a number of years ago, the quality of countries' education system cannot exceed its teachers' quality. So additionally, John Hattie and his seminal work about learning, so related to learning, to student learning, says the most important student-related factor for pupils' learning is teaching. So these are perhaps quite important indicator for how we might start to think about the teacher quality. So therefore, at the bottom, here's a piece of work that was done by Chris Husband, 2013. So he says teaching quality is a combination of competence, so commitment, effective pedagogy, knowledge of subject, knowledge of teaching, and the constant physics factor at the end. And the Australian Council for Education Research proposed an acquisition for quality, which is a combination of productive behavior through the catalytic impact of personal attributes. And finally, Robert Coe in 2014 and 2020 at Durham University and his colleagues together proposed a model for great teaching. So it's comprising 4 dimensions with a set of elements like understanding content, creative and supportive environment, maximizing opportunity to learn, and activating hard thinking. So let's look at together what Robert Coe and his colleagues says about what makes great teaching. So they defined great teaching as that which leads to improved student progress. In other words, better progress than we might have expected to given the nature of students. So what they have found was 6 teacher quality components impacts constantly on student progress. These are PCK, pedagogy content knowledge on the top, followed by quality of instruction. So here on the right-hand side, you can see character traits. James Arthur and his colleagues at Birmingham University, Jubilee Center, undertook research on the area of great teacher. So they found 6 character strengths that impact on student learning and progress. So having said that, having the best teacher really does matter for student achievement. So my argument here is that there is another reason rather than teacher professional knowledge. So there's an underlying reason for defining great teacher, which is character virtues and community of practice. So and the combination of both. So I will explain them in the next slides. So character virtues refer to positive personal strengths that promote individuals to address challenging issues with showing intellectual and moral sensitivity. And researchers argue that it is the intellectual responsibility of teacher to identify students' misconception, especially abstract subject in chemistry and science classes, and provide various instructional strategies to clarify those misconceptions, which promote students' meaningful learning. So building compassionate and encouraging relationship between students and teacher is an important part of a moral dimension of teaching because it helps students develop their moral consciousness and character. And teacher motivation, for example, is a significant performance virtue which plays a prominent role in delivering knowledge and instruction to students. So although those virtues can be divided into different categories, in my case, in 4 categories, like intellectual, moral, civic, and performance. So they form a coherent and mutual, supportive whole for great teaching. So the 4 categories of virtue are required to build practical wisdom. So let's review practical wisdom in educational context and relationship with great teaching. So we will come back to Gert Biesta again. Biesta noted that great teaching genuinely requires judgment. So for him, good teaching is the combination of competence and judgment. So according to Biesta, knowledge, abilities, and reflection don't guarantee successful teaching. What we require is educational wisdom. So he identifies educational wisdom and saying that the embodied ability to make wise education judgment about what is to be done, about what is educationally desirable. So we need to ask questions ourselves as well. What is educationally desirable when we teach something? So cultivating intellectual virtues helps science teachers' pedagogical development, and as a result, their classroom actions. Finally, in terms of in education in general, practical wisdom helps students understand the social cultural nature of science and improve their personal interest. So, examining professional development, reflective practices, and practical participation within educational communities is made possible by the idea of the practical wisdom. So far, a great teacher is the amalgamation of teacher professional knowledge, content knowledge, pedagogic knowledge, pedagogic content knowledge, and professional beliefs and virtues like intellectual, moral, civic, and performance, which can be fostered through social interaction. So Wenger, 1998, extended Leaves and Wenger, 1991, situated learning theory, so perspective on community of practice, and added 3 characteristics which make community of practice effective. Now these are mutual engagement, joint enterprise, and shared repertoire. So doing meaningful activities together and acting together as a group to solve problems and generate new ideas are central to mutual engagement. And joint enterprise refers to shared values or common goals that let teachers think together to enhance their practice and teaching. And the last dimension, shared repertoire, refers to particular shared resources derived from participants' mutual engagement in the community of practice. So to shape shared repertoire, teachers are mutually engaged and produce joint enterprise through reflection with the more component others or more experienced others. So in summary, the decision to choose the community of practice framework instead of the professional and learning community is motivated by its prioritization of organic, collaborative, and practice-centric approach to professional development. So this method is more suitable for dynamic and diversified educational environment, enabling teachers to adapt and flourish in their continuously changing duties. So here's my theoretical framework. So I call it teacher quality framework. So this model has the potential to improve teachers' learning and its implication in practice when it combined with the idea of community of practice. So teachers in a community of practice develop deeper professional qualities and by actively participating in the creation of exchange of pedagogical insights rather than just receiving knowledge. So teachers' personal qualities, in this context of education, refers to characteristics are closely associated with classroom competencies. And these include topic knowledge, pedagogic understanding, classroom management skills, flexibility, effective evaluation, and a dedication to professional growth. So on the other hand, teacher personal qualities refer to unique values, virtues, and beliefs that each teacher possesses and how these impact their teaching. So as you can see, I use pedagogic content approach created by Kind and Chen 2019. The reason why I chose that framework is, they put knowledge of students separately as a kind of knowledge, which is different than pedagogic knowledge and content knowledge. So it belongs neither pedagogic knowledge nor content knowledge, but contributes those kind of knowledge. So if you have a sort of community, then teachers, they get some scenario from their classes to communities, and then they get to know about students' prior knowledge and misconception about the topic, and then they come together. Teachers, they come together and try to solve and try to produce some approaches to figure it out. So a thorough and effective teaching practice is produced by the fusion of these personal and professional qualities, resulting in a positive and fruitful environment for students. So research design and methodology. So I will explain how to conduct this research to answer my research question. So this is a internationally comparative case study conducted in Turkey, England, South Korea, and Israel. And the study took place in two main phases: a systematic document analysis to understand how profession development plays an important role in developing great science teachers, followed by the data collection in 4 jurisdictions. And here's a piece of work that I performed when I do my document analysis. So the main purpose of document analysis is in this research was to deepen understanding of teacher excellence and teacher development in high-performing countries and these 4 nations. So that's why teaching international surveys like TALIS reports and TALIS country notes were added to review. And also the OECD Education Policy Outlook and national and international reports were analyzed thematically. And to identify recent innovation and intervention on countries on great teacher and professional development, documents released between 2003 and 2023 were included. And more than 50 documents were reviewed. So the document analysis revealed 3 significant themes, which are community of practice, pedagogical content knowledge, and professional beliefs and virtues. So when you look at this kind of reports, like OECD reports, you can constantly see those kind of 3 components which impact on anyhow teachers great teaching or teachers effective teaching. So my field work comprised semi-structured interviews, classroom observation, PD activity observation, and focus group interviews. So data collected a volunteer sample of 40 science teachers who teach upper secondary in mostly chemistry classes and 10 teachers for each country. And I try to collect teachers from who attend professional development activities. So data analysis. So deductive and inductive coding were adapted in developing the initial codes. So data from semi-structured interviews and focus group interviews were thematically analyzed and coded based on themes, namely community of practice, PCK, and PBV, emerged from this thematic document analysis. So, and additionally, practical moral knowledge, passion, and professional behavior emerged as inductive themes. So I couldn't find those themes in the documents, but they emerged from my interviews. So these are how I did my coding. You can teach, for example, at the bottom. So a teacher say you can teach some subject with some knowledge and materials, but in a more interesting way. So I called this one knowledge of instructional strategies. And how I generate teams. So if it is knowledge of instructional strategies and classroom management, so it is about pedagogy content knowledge. So I will do the other, coding exactly what I, did, like this one. Okay. So outcomes of the data collection in 4 nations. Now, teachers in South Korea tend to participate in community-based generic program for developing their science teaching. On the other hand, teachers in Israel and England, they have sort of teacher shortage, and tend to prefer to participate in school-based program or topic-specific program, because they try to employ teachers from different subject background. So, for example, in England, teachers, they attend Royal Society of Chemistry, and Royal Society of Physics and Biology. And in Israel, Weizmann Institute of Science is responsible for teacher professional development. And teachers in Turkey tend to participate in compulsory and out-of-topic in-service training. It's not a kind of professional development, but it's training. So we need to distinguish between those two terms, actually. Therefore, teachers in Turkey, as compared to other colleagues in Israel, South Korea, to some extent in England, do less collaborative activities, which end up with losing motivation about teaching. So, South Korea, Israel, and England, they try to implement a kind of strategy, what teacher need, based on what teacher need. They try to design a professional development. So that's the simple and basic. And finally, the notion of being a sort of part of community contributes significantly to teachers' virtue characters and knowledge base for teaching science. So here's my first research question. So community-based professional development enables teachers in 4 nations to learn different instructional strategies, develop curriculum materials, update their curriculum knowledge, and reflect on their practice according to their interviews. In Turkey, teachers receive training courses, but those courses cannot count as a sort of community of practice, because they didn't provide teachers with an environment where they could reflect on their practice and engage with each other mutually. So the study finding shows that all teachers have beliefs how and why to teach science. Positive or negative differences exist among teachers based on the topic they teach and the curricula they implement. So the result from whether teachers participate in an effective community based on PD or not. Soyeon, for example, in South Korea, said, to learn how to adapt Arduino, like software in chemistry teaching, she attended sort of lesson study. However, in Turkey, professional development is not designed to develop teachers like pedagogy. So my second research question, so gaining virtual characters like intellectual, social, moral, and performance virtues. Can you give me just 5 minutes more? So linking those virtues together to knowledge matter to gain practical wisdom and appropriate judgment are shaped by culture, society, values, and beliefs. So the data shows that great teachers appears differently in the four nations. A great teacher is identified variously as an amalgamation of lifelong learner in South Korea, a moral exemplar in Turkey, reflective practitioner in England, and as an education in Israel. So here is some quotes from teachers. So for example, in England, chemistry teacher said, to be excellent, you have to be reflective. You have to be willing to make changes on what you have reflected on. That is the simplest. Recognize the need for the changes and frame it. So this is the great teacher combination of both four characteristics. So I can say that my study maybe describe great teacher is perceived to empower practical wisdom, which helps teachers to establish mutual understanding and let them more space to draw upon intellectual, moral, social, and performance virtues through collaboration and communication. So my third research question, so cultivating and fostering practical wisdom requires time, including experience, practice, and reflection, all playing important roles to be a great teacher. So through the perspective of practical wisdom, teachers are able to gain a deeper understanding of how to navigate unforeseen circumstances and enhance their teaching practice. So teachers who show practical wisdom in their practice also show concern about their students' meaningful learning and whole personal development. Students' learning can be improved utilizing flipped learning, argumentation, and dialogic teaching. So, and lastly, this study have three implications. So the nature of PD program should be changed, maybe top-down program should be changed by virtual-based program, which mainly focus on those four character traits. And practical wisdom in science teaching should be implemented in the classroom. And finally, the conceptualization of teachers' qualities should be reconsidered. We don't need to focus on just to improve pedagogical content knowledge. Of course, it's really, really important. But we should really be careful about what is education desirable, and that it says to us we need to think about character traits to develop what education is desirable. So these are the limitations. So COVID-19, the main limitation for me, because I couldn't perform some activities because of the COVID-19, and I can't generalize the findings because it's a sort of case study, but it gives a sort of insight how we are going to design a sort of PD professional development for teachers. So, yeah, thank you very much for listening to me. Yeah.
네, 감사합니다. 굉장히 재미있는 주제와 연구였는데요. 어떤 교사가 좋은 교사인가, 이것은 우리 모두에게 항상 중요한 질문 아니겠습니까? 근데 이 질문에 대해서 굉장히 흥미롭게 4개 국가의 비교 연구를 통해서 이것을 양적 연구로 진행하셨다는 것도 흥미롭지만 그 양적 연구로 다 담을 수 없는 교사의 실천적 지혜나 이러한 덕성, 이런 덕목도 굉장히 중요하다는 것을 특히 과학 교사들을 선정을 하셔서 이런 연구를 하셨다는 것이 굉장히 여러 가지 흥미로운 지점이 많이 있는 것 같습니다. 오디언스 청중들 가운데서 우리가 시간이 많지는 않지만 한 2분 정도 이 발표에 대해서 질문을 듣고 그렇게 다음 발표로 진행을 했으면 좋겠습니다. 혹시 질문 있으십니까? 질문 있으신 분은 손을 들어서 발표를 표시해 주시면 마이크를 드리도록 하겠습니다. 네. Question.
예, 발표 잘 들었습니다. 제가 드리고 싶은 질문은 연구자가 선택한 이 네 나라가 어떤 연관성이 있는지 아니면 어떤 차이에 근거해서 네 개의 이 나라를 선택했는지 그 부분이 좀 궁금하고 답변을 주셨으면 감사하겠습니다. 이상입니다.
네, 한국어를 잘 하시지만 잘 알아들으셨습니까?
Based on like South Korea is a representative of high performing country, and England is a sort of ambitious to be a great country, like based on like teams and PISA results, and Israel is somewhere between like good to great, and then Turkey is like sort of trying to achieve to be great in terms of result in PISA and teams. So that's why I just categorized that country. I think McKinsey report, so in McKinsey reports, they have a sort of category of the countries, like in 2011 report. So based on that categorization, I choose countries. And also I did a very systematic review about countries and how they develop professional development. So Israel is one of the most inspiring country in terms of investing to professional development. So those kind of things made me choose those 4 countries.
네, 다 이해를 하셨나요? 4개 국가의 특징이 조금 다르지만 피사 통계에 또 근거해서 굉장히 양적인 그 접근과 또 이런 질적인 접근이 항상 그 같이 교차하면서 그렇게 선택하신 게 굉장히 흥미로운 지점 같습니다. 혹시 다른 질문 있으실까요? 없으시면 우리가 시간 관계상 다음 질문으로 넘어가겠습니다. 아니, 다음 세션으로 넘어가겠습니다. 많은 좋은 인사이트풀한 렉처를 해주신 엠라 어즈렉 선생님께 박수 보내드릴까요? 감사합니다. 네, 우리 두 번째 발표는 그 오스트리아 교육부의 말호넨 헤나 선생님이신데요. 우리 그 주제는 Implementation of Education for Sustainable Development in Austria School System and its Significance and Possibility for Transformative Education in School. 굉장히 긴 제목인데요. 앞서 우리가 들었던 그 기조 강연과 굉장히 연결되어 있는 이슈입니다. 그 헤나 선생님 앞으로 모시겠습니다. 박수로 환영해 주세요.
So, good afternoon, and for the first I have to apologize a little bit for my voice. I was talking too much yesterday and I think the cold weather has taken my voice, but I think the 25 minutes I will manage, and I think after that I have to shut my mouth for this day. But it's so nice to be here. And I will give you today a short overview how we have integrated ESD in our school system in Austria. So I will give you a short presentation about our school system because it's a little different than yours, and then give you a short presentation how we understand ESD in our Ministry for Education and how we support school and teacher to implement ESD in the schools. So we are far away in Europe. They're in the middle, in Austria. And we have 9 federal states in Austria. And it's important for the school system because every federal state, they have their own local school authority and they are in charge of their own schools, kind of like the primary schools and middle schools. But the curricula for all the schools is coming from the Ministry for Education and is the same for every state, for the whole country. Then I wanted to show you the graphic about our school system, that you know that we have a lot of different kind of schools. The first, we have the primary level, that's on the left side, and it's 4 years in the ages from 6 to 10. And after those 4 years, the children, they are in age of 10 years and then they already have to choose if they go to the middle school or the academic secondary school, in the lower level of academic secondary school. And after that, in the upper secondary level, we have the academic secondary schools and many different kind of schools for vocational education. So it's not so easy at the same time to speak about all kind of schools, but now I am actually speaking ESD in the school system and in every type of schools, in every level. And I have pretty many slides because I wanted to give you a little bit more information with what is possible in 25 minutes. So that's that you can check the more background and detailed information in the slides. So I'm not going to go to many details in every slide. So I already told you about the basics about our school system. And now about the ESD. And something about international background for our ministry. Austria, we have some international obligations to integrate ESD in our school system, like we are committed to implement the UNESCO roadmap, and we have also some obligations to implement the Green Deal of the European Union. So that's not something we can just freely choose. So we have to implement ESD into schools. And on base of those international documents, we wanted to have in our ministry, so our ministry is the Ministry of Education, Science and Research. So it's the school education and science, higher education. And we wanted to have for our ministry the same understanding about ESD, and we wanted to have a written definition of ESD for our ministry. So when we are within the ministry talking about ESD, we wanted to make sure that we have the same language. And that's why we organized a working group in the ministry. We involved every department, so that we really have the same understanding in the whole ministry. And so we worked at the definition for our ministry, and the most important documents I have listed here, and I just want to shortly mention them. Important is, of course, Franz already mentioned the Agenda 2030, and there the goal 4.7 That's very important basic for our definition, and of course from the UNESCO, the Berlin Declaration on ESD, with the 4 dimensions, with the ecology, society, economics, and culture, all the aspects, and also from OECD, the 3 different types of competencies. It's about cognitive skills and social and emotional skills, and also the practical and physical skills. And all these for us include, I think you already mentioned also these competences, and they are very important in all the international documents. So it's about critical thinking, that the children and young people, that they are able to cooperate and solve problems and build resilience and develop critical creativity. And based of these old documents and a lot of information, we made our definition, and everybody in the ministry should also think about how can I implement the ESD in my work in the ministry. That was the first step for us. And it's not so easy because we have the schools and the higher education, but we manage to have one definition for us. So it's a principle for society as a whole, and it's important that we overcome these current challenges. So education is needed that supports the necessary social transformations. And we have 3 dimensions in our definitions. And the first one is the learning content, that we include these central topics in our curricula, in all schools, in all kind of schools. The second one is the pedagogy and learning environments. So it's about designing teaching and learning. It's about strengthening teacher-learner relationship, and also transforming all aspects of learning and teaching environments towards ESD. And the third and the last one is the learning outcomes. And they are, of course, very important because that is why we are doing this and why we work. So, ESD in our curricula. In Austria, the topics and the contents of ESD, they have been implemented in the curricula long time ago, so they are there. But the definition of ESD and the whole school approach, how we understand that, that is something new in Austria, and we implemented this as the definition and ESD as a whole school approach in our curricula 2023. So it's pretty new for us. We renew our curricula for primary school and for the middle school and for the lower academic schools. And now we are renewing the curricula also for the upper level. So now I have to go back. So at the moment now in the new curricula, it's written in the curricula so that every teacher can read that education for sustainable development is introduced as a guiding principle for the whole school. So it's not only about teaching in classes, so it really should be whole school approach and a topic in the entire school environment, not only in the class. It should be also in the leisure time and when they eat and with waste and everything. We also have cross-curricular topics in the curricula, and that is something additional to ESD. So the ESD is like an umbrella for the whole school and for the school system. And it's related to everything, every subject and every cross-curricular topics. And these cross-curricular topics, they are topics which are socially relevant, current topics which gain particular importance. And the very important point for us is here the second point. We want to support students' networked learning behind subject-specific boundaries. And that's kind of the main point here for us. And it's something, it's not new. At the same time, it's something new. We should learn kind of that way, and it has been in school system, projects and cross-curricular topics and themes. And at the same time, many of the teachers are asking, oh, how should I do that? Because it's something new. So it's a huge possibility and at the same time also a huge challenge. But I think it's a very important aspect, and we think that also in our ministry and our school system, when we are thinking and talking about crises and time which is very uncertain, and when we are talking about transformation and transformative education, then the only way to do that actually is over the boundaries of these subjects. So we have to learn to think over the boundaries, and the students should learn that have this networked learning. And actually the main point here is also the holistic approach, the whole school approach. We have many of these curricular topics, and there are strong links between them, and they also have to work together. And that is something what we are now trying to do in Austria, that also the cross-curricular topics are working together, and when we have teaching materials, that we make that visible for the teacher, that when they are doing one lesson to this topic, that at the same time they actually are doing media education and environmental education and citizenship education and also chemistry. Because very many teachers and schools, they are already doing that, but they don't know that. And we don't want to burden the teacher, because the teacher, they have lots to do. There are very many new topics and new themes. They also have to read the newspapers and react very rapid when something happens in the world, that they can include those today lessons. And that is ESD also. It's the citizenship education, it's the democracy, it's the human rights, it's the climate crisis, it's also the networking, and it's the global justice. That's everything is ESD. And but we have to make that visible, and that the teacher also understand what is ESD, and that everything is not new what is coming. There are some of our cross-curricular topics what we have in Austria. We have media education and citizenship education. We have also transport and mobility education, economic education, health promotion, intercultural education, language education. So there are a few examples of these cross-curricular topics. And now you can imagine the teacher when they have the curricula and they have their own topic, and then additionally they are reading in curricula, oh my God, now I have to do this, and that. And that's the possibility and the challenge. And I think the teacher educators and also the ministry and also the teaching materials, they have to make that visible, that at the same time they are doing already a lot of these topics. And also the teacher, they have to understand this networked way of thinking. So, like I said, possibilities are actually at the same time the challenges. The implementation of ESD and actually ESD in general is a huge possibility for this world and for the societies, because it's the possibility of an equal society and global citizens, and it's also it makes goals of a society as a whole possible. So I think, like Franz said, we need a fair and justice society, and ESD is the way guide the children and the youth people towards that. And it's also the possibility that the children and the young people are getting skills for sustainable work and for the sustainable way of life. And yesterday in our workshop we discussed that it's not only about teaching, it's extended education, and the challenge, it was the theme today already, and also by you. It's about the competencies of teacher also. And that is a challenge because many adults people don't have these competencies, and so the teacher also need these competencies. So the teacher education has to be on board, and they have to think about that, how the future teacher could have these competencies. But I think in this point it's important also to mention that not every teacher has to have every competencies. So it's also communicating and networking at school. So I have these competencies, I am good at that, so I can do this and this, and what can you, all together. And I think that's kind of new mindset in school. You have to think a little bit different, not only my subject and my lesson. So for every day, for every week at school, think together what we can do. So how much time do I have? I think 10 minutes. No. So just a few, short 5 minutes. It's very fine. Short overview how we support schools and teacher. Franz already mentioned our Ökolog network. So networks are one thing that helps schools. In Austria, we also have other networks like the UNESCO schools or National Park network. So from the ministry point of view, we are happy when the schools are joining also other networks. The Ökolog network is the network from the ministry. And I will skip the slides because Franz already told that. The Forum Environmental Education, that's the joint projects of Ministry of Education and Ministry of Environment. And they develop materials and tools for ESD. Here's one example, that is anti-littering card game. And the Forum Environmental Education, they also have examples of teaching methods, and they are also organizing workshops for teachers to learn new methods or the new materials. So that's something we offer for all schools in Austria. Then we also have Centrum Polis, Center for Citizenship Education, and this also supports teachers and schools by the implementation of citizenship education. And there is one example. There's a teaching material about international climate policy. And they also organize workshops for schools. So teacher can contact them and ask if they come to school and make a workshop with students at schools. Then we have different kind of online tools also for the schools, like this footprint calculator for schools, and then the waste management concept for schools. Also, we have teaching materials about the sustainable development goals for the different school levels. And we also sometimes organize different kind of competitions for the schools that the students can join and win some prizes. There are one example about our energy competition that was a poster competition. So, the role of a school and teacher is essential. We need changes in the school system and in the structures, but in the morning we talk about culture, and also the school culture is very important, because the children and the young people, they bring so much time at school, and the school leader, the teacher, and the students together, they can create a school culture, and that's what we are trying to do, to encourage the schools to create a school culture towards ESD. And also, every teacher can reflect their own lessons, but not only the lessons, they can also reflect their behavior and their attitudes and beliefs at schools, and every day think about that, okay, there are so many young people and they see how I'm living my life, so they are really role models. And like I already said, all together, and we need to have a joint responsibility and also the holistic view of humanity. That's the only way towards the global justice and safe and justice society. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. 감사합니다. 우리가 두 번째 발표를 들었는데 그 ESD 이 지속 가능 발전 교육 굉장히 중요한 화두이고 굉장히 유엔에서도 많이 우리에게 그 보고서를 통해서 많은 관심을 촉구하고 있는데 조금 학교 현장에 어떻게 이것을 적용할 것인가에 대해서는 좀 교사분들이 어려움들이 많이 있는 것 같아요. 근데 그 교육을 어떻게 구현할 수 있는지에 대해서 오스트리아의 사례를 들면서 구체적으로 경험을 나누어 주셔서 우리에게도 굉장히 많은 공부가 되었던 것 같습니다. 시간이 지나기는 했는데 혹시 이 청중 가운데 질문이 있으시면 한 분 정도만 받아볼까요? 혹시 질문이 있으신가요? 그러면 없으시면 사회자로서 반가운 마음으로 시간을 쫓겨가지고 Thank you, 한나. Yeah. 저희가 원래 계획은 네, 감사합니다. 원래 계획은 두 번째 세션을 하고 잠깐 브레이크를 하는 것인데 잠깐 순서를 바꿔서 세 번째가 동영상으로 강의가 준비되어 있습니다. 그래서 동영상 강의 세 번째 강의까지 듣고 우리가 잠깐 브레이크를 가지는 것으로 하겠습니다. 세 번째 강의는 저희 청주교대 교수님으로 계신 강병직 교수님께서 원래 미술교육을 전공하셨기도 하고 AI와 이러한 그 아트를 융합해서 실제 수업에서도 많이 교육을 하시는 걸로 알고 있습니다. 그래서 창의성에 관련해서 많은 아이디어가 있으신데 오늘은 그 경험을 나누어 주실 것으로 기대가 됩니다. 제목은 The Direction of Creativity Education and the Role of Teachers in the Age of AI. 굉장히 재미있는 제목인데요. 이 제목으로 교수님의 강의를 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 동영상으로 시청을 하시면 되겠습니다.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Professor Byoung Jik Kang, who teaches art education at Cheongju National University of Education. I've been studying art and creativity for a long time. Here today, I'd like to talk about the relations between artificial intelligence and creativity and what direction creativity education should go in school. Do you think can AI help creativity? This question is no longer valid because it has been proven theoretically and physically. We admit that AI can help creativity. Then, is creativity the same as human creativity? Let's unlock the secrets of artificial creativity. William James, who is considered a pioneer in creativity research, said the core of creativity is the unheard combination of elements, which is to reconnect and ideas and things. Steve Jobs said once, creativity is just connecting things. Therefore, the key elements of creativity, we can say, unheard combination of things. As for the theoretical model, applying these principles of creativity to computers, Margaret Bowden professor suggested 3 types of computational creativity: combinational creativity, exploratory creativity, and transformational creativity. Combinational creativity is the dimension that connects ideas, information, concepts, etc., and is currently the most widely practiced method in the field of artificial intelligence. Exploratory creativity is the method of generating new ideas within the existing domain structure or framework. And transformational creativity refers to new ideas that go beyond and change the current structure or rules. Therefore, transformational creativity is most difficult, like a revolution. As of now, artificial intelligence has reached the level of combinational creativity and exploratory creativity when given the current technological advances. If Professor Bowden's prediction is correct, transformational creativity can also be reached sooner or later. So, what are the mechanical principles of AI creativity? I can draw 3 principles. The first is vector embedding. Vector embedding is a technique that displays text data in spatial coordinates to allow mathematical understanding of the meaning and context of words. Vector embedding technology allows artificial intelligence to understand the relationship and semantic similarities between words in a large corpus. Like a human being, we communicate with very subtle and very little nuances. And even the same words can be interpreted differently depending on the given context. This is the example of the vector embedding. It's like a connectivism AI. Let me give you an example. I asked ChatGPT to write a poem like life. I commands, make a poem about life. ChatGPT showed me, as you see now, life a river winding slow through days of sun and nights of snow. It bends and twists and endless quests through valleys deep or mountains crest. In dawn's soft light, hopes gently bloom, Yeah, midday brings its clouds of gloom. We chase the stars and we ride the waves through storms, through calm, and to find our way. Like this. Isn't it quite good? Yes. It's better than me. So I asked to show me vector values for keywords in this poem. So as you see here, I commands visualize the vector space of the keywords of the poem. It answers. First, extract keywords like life, river, sun, clouds, stars, storm, joy, scar, and then it converts to vectors. Use your language model such as a WorldVec, globe, or BERT embeddings to transform each word into a vector that captures its semantic relations, and then plot the vectors as a dot. Using technique like PCA is a statistical model, or TSNE, we can reduce the high-dimensional world vector to 2D or 3D space, and then plot these points. Quite smart, isn't it? This time, the formula vector value, as you see left side, and the coordinates, as you see right side, ChatGPT showed me. You can see dots, for example, grow, night, story, and far distance, laughter, and far, low, storm, and things like that. This is vector embedding. Vector embedding make statistics into visualizing images. It connects very different ideas into semantic new sentences or phrases. And then I asked to show me the semantic distance between each keyword and numerical values. ChatGPT showed me like this. For example, the word closest to life is memories. You can see yellow box, life. The far distance is laughter, 1.75. Memories, 0.45. And while also the word closest to scar, you far below, you can see left box, the yellow box, scar is very near to sorrow, 0.29. But while it's far from the story, as you can see, this there is very relationship between the keywords is shown as numerical values. I think the second principle of artificial creativity is the attention mechanism. Attention mechanism is a technology that was announced by the Google Brain team in 2017. Attention mechanism generates the optimal output by focusing on important data rather than less important data. You can see here, father went into the room after finishing his meal. What's the most important keywords? Not after finishing his meal, but father went into the room. Just attention mechanism like this, focusing which is more important information. This attention technique is a widely used method in generative AI models that process natural language and images. It contributes the efficient analysis and the output of answer. The third principle is parameter. A parameter is the path of optimizing data and make to achieve optimal results. It's like numbers to help AI make accurate predictions by fine-tuning feedback. You can see the backpropagation. By backpropagation, the parameters is adjusted for much more accurate answers. This is parameter. GPT-3, 175 billion parameters they used. Huge amount of parameters. Let's take an example. I asked ChatGPT to draw a tree and asked to show what parameters used for the pictures. The parameters shown here, three specific parameters vectorized, tree type, oak, not oak, trunk thickness, 0.9, 0 is thin, 1 is very thick. Branch style, 0.8, 0 is spots, 1 very sprawling. Leaf color, you can see here green dominance, 0.7, 0 is no green, 1 is full green like this. Environmental parameters, atmosphere parameters. But it has sometimes overfitting. An image, the factor is vulnerable to changes in position, angle, and size of images. It's comparing to text. Images more very, not figurative, unstructured, and I'm comparing to text data. So, what are the advantages of AI creativity? Many researchers suggest that the ability to generate ideas and efficiency are the biggest. Unlike humans, AI is also able to continuously generate new ideas without getting tired and grasp characteristics between large amount of data and that humans cannot notice. What are the limitations of AI creativity? Because of combination based on similarity, it is hard to combine data which looks distant or unrelated. But humans can combine things that seem to be very far or not related. And additionally, there may be bias and the lack of originality. So, how should you use AI in creativity education in school? This is the concept of human creativity and AI creativity. The most biggest difference is the motivation. In other words, it's your own intention why you want to be creative. But in contrast, artificial intelligence is just a response to a question or request, not a need for creativity on its own. This is a huge impact on creativity. So, here I'd like to suggest more specific ways to use AI in creativity education in school. The first is to improve the quality of the questions. Questioning is the process of finding answers, but also the process of broadening our thoughts. Therefore, it is important to expand our usual thinking through asking questions. In this process, we can go beyond the surface level and proceed to the deeper thinking. Therefore, avoid ambiguity and go deeper thought when using AI in creativity process. Second, it must go beyond the range of trained data. The answer from generative AI like ChatGPT is the result of a combination of numerous parameters based on role. Therefore, it is necessary to compare the difference between AI ideation and human ideation while checking the sources of data. Therefore, it's very important to explore a variety of data sources. It is correct or not, it is origin or not, things like that, and compare with the difference between AI ideation and human ideation. Last but not least, I'd like to suggest it is important to imbue one's personality. That means we have to inspire the learner's personality. In other words, by instilling the learner's own feelings, experiences, or thoughts, the learner's personality must be reflected beyond the results of statistical combination of data. Therefore, imbuing personality of learner is the way of supplement of artificial creativity. On December 20th, 2024, just a bit before, the Wall Street Journal reported that the development of the next generation GPT-5 model is lagging behind its original goal, even though the OpenAI company has invested about $500 billion in 18 months. Huge amount of money, isn't it? The main reason is the lack of data to learn. Not the money, not the human power, but the lack of quality data. This article suggests that creativity is not a matter of the amount of data, but more flexible thinking and unique characteristics of learner as a human being are needed more. In this regard, it should not be forgotten that the characteristics of a learner's personality is an important factor when using AI for creativity education in school. Thank you very much.
네, 강병직 교수님께서 어떤 출제 때문에 불가피하게 참석은 못하셨지만 우리가 굉장히 관심을 많이 가지고 있는 그 AI와 창의성이랑 주제에 대해서 굉장히 흥미롭고 진지한 연구를 많이 제안해 주셨습니다. 결국은 우리가 AI와 어떤 경쟁을 할 것인가가 아니라 인간으로서 우리는 어떤 종류의 사고를 할 것인가, 그것이 참 중요한 것 같습니다. 그래서 오늘 창의성에 관련해서 AI 시대의 창의성 교육을 어떻게 할 것인가, 이 주제에 관해서 조금 깊이 생각해보는 그러한 시간이 되었던 것 같습니다. 자리에는 안 계시지만 좋은 강의를 해주신 강병직 교수님께 우리가 박수로 화답을 하면 좋겠습니다. 네, 그러면 그 세 번째 강의까지 들으시느라고 많이 졸립고 힘드실 것 같습니다. 굉장히 인텐시브하게 진행이 되는데 저희가 잠깐 커피 브레이크 타임을 가지겠는데 4시 20분까지 쉬는 시간을 조금 충분히 가지시고 기지개도 좀 펴시고 4시 20분에 다시 각성된 마음으로 이 자리에 다시 모이도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다. 여러분 안녕하세요. 네 번째 강의는 저희가 말레이시아에 계신 비영리 단체 RTED의 설립자인 자넷 필라이 선생님을 모시고 강의를 듣고자 합니다. 강의 제목은 Moving Beyond Chalk and Talk to Transformative Pedagogy라는 제목인데요. 줌으로 지금 접속해서 대기하고 계십니다. Hello, Janet Pillai.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. So, could you begin your presentation with a brief introducing yourself? Yeah.
Okay, I will share screen and then introduce myself. Thank you.
Yeah. And you have a 25 minutes presentation and 5 minutes question after finishing your presentation. Okay?
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. My name is Janet Pillai, and I'm the founder of an non-profit organization in Penang, Malaysia. We are a kind of a education outfit, and we try kind of experimental methodologies in teaching and learning. But mostly we specialize in place-based learning. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about moving beyond chalk and talk in the classroom and actually taking teacher educators as well as students into the community to enhance transformative education. So just a little bit about my organization. We are based in Penang, Malaysia, and we practice transformative education through place-based learning, where students experience learning and examine real issues in authentic settings. So I'm sure there's been a lot of discussion on transformative education at this conference. Basically it's
Hello,
about...
Janet.
Yes?
Yeah, can you maximize your screen?
Let me see. Is that better?
No, it's still small.
I'm not
Can you
quite
control
sure.
maximize your screen? Enlarge.
I'm not sure. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Let's see. I think I'm having a problem with my...
You can share your PPT screen on the bottom.
I'm sorry. Just a minute.
You can click share button on the bottom.
Just a minute. Are you able to see my screen now?
We cannot see anything.
You cannot see.
Yeah, Janet Pillai, you can wait for a moment and handle your screen. During your preparation, we can change the turn. The next presenter will have a presentation instead of you, and after that, Alfonso, you can start again, right?
Okay, okay.
Okay. Professor De La Vega, can you hear me? Yeah, I cannot hear your voice. You have a mute mode now. You can change your voice. I cannot hear you. Can you turn on your mic?
Okay,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
We have some problem now. So can you start your presentation now?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait a minute.
예, 변혁적 시대에 얼마나 예측 불가능한 일이 많이 생기는지, 그러면 기술적인 문제 때문에 자네 필라이 선생님의 강의는 우리가 마지막에 듣도록 하고, 스페인에 계신 자치대학교의 교수로 계신 알폰소 가르시아 델라베가 교수님의 Transformative Society through Geographical Narrative Workshop이라는 제목으로 프레젠테이션을 먼저 듣도록 하겠습니다. So, De La Vega, can you start your presentation now?
Yeah.
Yeah, with your brief introduction yourself. You can start.
Well, my presentation is a transformative society through geographical narrative workshop. I am director of research in Educational Science Institute at the Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, Spain. Well, we talk about the landscape, which is the center of the topic for this workshop. This is the case of the drought in Amazonas River. These are the core ideas of this speech. Narrative thinking for landscape, transformative learning, geographical narrative workshop, and final, the conclusions. The core ideas is about the narrative thinking, and the narrative thinking operates in the constructions of concepts, ideas, and analogies to the knowledge. This kind of thinking, the narrative thinking, allows us to approach other people's narrative creations, oral and writing, to promote our own from life's experience. This is an idea aligned to Bruno. The transformative learning, in this case, the workshop is the transformative learning promotes significant changes in people, and it involves modifying the premeditated frames of reference to involve towards a reflective, inclusive, and open processes towards possible changes. In general, the geographical workshop is about the idea of sustainability. And sustainability emerged as a goal of the geographical workshop to link in narrative thinking and transformative learning. In this end, the geography workshop promotes real situations about landscape and leads students to reflect and make future the decisions and citizens of the world. That which is this geographical narrative workshop. And the geographical narrative workshop has 3 phases of development are established in the exposition, experimentation, and expression. The teaching resources used in the workshop are cartographical, photographical, audiovisual, artistical documents. All of them have some geographical features to lead to workshop towards narrative expression from geographical knowledge. Which is this didactical resource. This diarist of the Scott in the Beagle Trouble is one of them. She said, at 10 o'clock in the morning of the 20th of February, relaxed floats of the seabirds were passing over the city of Concepcion on the coast. At 11:40, the shock of an earthquake was felt, and in less than 6 seconds was in ruins. With this short diary of the Scott trouble in America, he shows the situation and the perception on the earthquake, and this is the key for the workshop. This is another case, but about the same trouble with Scott, but the narrator is Swiss, and she promote the sensations and the emotion for the trouble, and the words of the Scott on this trouble. Other resources are the like a literate is the painter, and this is the case of the Paul Cézanne with the Mont Saint-Victoire, with the pines around this landscape, and this is the real Saint-Victoire, and the other hand is the Kang Byoung. Then is the picture of the artist is creative, and Paul Cézanne repeat this painting. The Saint Victoire, according Martine de Pisson, highlights the view of a small mountain due an insistent reputation the same Mediterranean landscape. And then we touch for the workshop. Another author, Clark, highlighting the first landscape in painting were recorded in the Renaissance. And then Peter Bruegel, the older, painting the winter landscape with sea and bird trap. And this Canva record the climate change occurring during the Little Ice Age. This is the Canva. And this is in the date is 1565, and it's clear recorded to the climate change. Well, however, the landscape also constitutes content evoking emotion, experience, motivate the kids for the teaching of geography. Thus, the landscape as a natural and cultural marriage configures a legacy and identity place which must be known, appreciated, and valued. This is the two cases in Guatavita Lake is described by Humboldt in his travel in South America. The other hand is the Bombabi Rock in Cheongju. Well, what is the transformative learning? And this is the two resources for understand the changes in the landscape. In the other hand is the Roman settlement in a little town in Spain. His name is Termes, and it's sculpted the channel for the water, and the right is in the entrance for the town. On the other hand, the Boston green tea has another view of the landscape transformate, and then is the green tea is linked with the Korean culture. Well, the geographical narrative workshop has three keys: pedagogical postulates, workshop dimensions, and organization structure. Well, the pedagogical postulates are assumed three authors: Kilpatrick, Freinet, and De Crowley. His ideas is the active learning with Kilpatrick, the center of interest with De Crowley and Freinet proposed the social commitment to learning. All of them figure around the student. Student is in the center of this type of learning. This is the key of the workshop. For the other hand is the three dimensions. This is the personal. The personal dimension is covered both individual and collaborative learning in different phases. The collaboration of the teaching staff has always been attempted, since there are the natural educational mediators for the students. The formative dimension comes from Vygotsky's contribution on the difference between spontaneous and scientific concepts. Spontaneous concepts are acquired through life experience, with scientific concepts comes from the educational instruction. This is the key for the workshop. And finally, the social dimension in the construction of concepts refer to the role of environment learning, which is the organizational structure of the sustainability narrative workshop. Well, there are three stages: presentation, develop, and assessment. There are three functions linked with each phases. For example, identification function is linked with exposition, science function linked with experimentation, and narrative function is linked with expression. And this figure shows the stage, the educational function, and the phases of the workshop. Well, didactic phases and educational functions in this workshop is for another hand, didactical research as provide that allow the conceptual construction of sustainability. And then the students were provided with a dossier with newspapers, photographs, maps, and satellite images of the evolution of the urbanization on the island of the Villa Cañas Dam in Cáceres. And the search for information on the natural protection of the place due to natural fauna and vegetation according to Spanish and European regulations. And finally, the experimental phase consisted of role-playing with the mayor, ecologists, the builder, and the neighbors. This is the case. This is the didactical material, the maps above left, the satellite image above right, and the other photographs below left and right, which shows the construction of this urbanization in the middle of the reservoir. This is a tale of the other four users. Finally, the conclusions are the geographical narrative workshop aims to promote the students' ability to argue the use of cartographic, literary, and historical documentary source. The workshop aims to promote the narrative thinking from the formulation of geographic concepts to the inclusion of these terms in the reports prepared by the students. The tasks seek to adapt the geographic problems raised to each age so that there is with daily life and with the interest of the students. This is another example. Finally, this is the last diapo. The constituted learning environment allows for generation of cooperative and collaborative learning situation. And transformative learning is promoted from the geography workshop by exploring the abilities to search, select, use, and apply documentary research in solving the problem, and discussing his law, them argue and debate the points of view. And this promotes changing points of view and opening perspectives of empathy towards other people and knowledge. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Professor De La Vega. 네, 들라베가 교수님이 오전에 연결이 안 돼서 굉장히 걱정을 많이 했는데 너무나 흥미롭고 재미있는 이러한 주제에 대해서 우리에게 강연을 해주셔서 정말 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 이 내러티브적인 사고를 지오그래피와 관련지어서 또 지속 가능성의 개념을 어떻게 우리가 교육을 할 것인가 이것에 대한 접근이 굉장히 독특하고 재미있는 것 같습니다. 예. 그래서 청중 중에 혹시 질문이 있으시면 많은 시간이 있지는 않은데 한 분 정도 받고 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. Do you have any question from the audience? 네, 네. We have one question. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
상당히 흥미있는 강연 잘 들었습니다. 근데 그 내러티브 자료 중에서 그 리터리처 그 문학 자료도 사용을 하셨는데 사실적인 그런 다큐멘터리적인 자료 말고 좀 허구적인 뭐 창의적인 그런 그 문학 작품도 사용될 수 있는지 그런 사례가 있는지 좀 궁금합니다.
Yeah, the audience they have a question about your lecture. It's first thank you for your insightful lecture, and you used various material for your geographical workshop. So, for example, you used poem or literature in the beginning part. So, can you recommend any other materials or subject theme for your geographical workshop?
Yeah. We work with other materials, especially the diaries of travel with Scott and Humboldt and other travelers around the world. because they describe the landscape, and they shows this landscape another time, and also this literacy linked with cartography and probably photographs or canvas that they record the other times or actual times.
오케이, thank you. 사진이나 자서전이나 다큐멘터리 굉장히 다양한 자료를 많이 사용하실 수 있다고 그렇게 말씀해 주십니다. Professor de la Vega, thank you for your truly insightful lecture. Thank you. Your session
Thank
is
you.
finished. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Janet Pillai, can you hear me? Janet Pillai, can you turn on your mic?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. So, can you maximize your screen? 됐습니까?
Okay, thank you very much. Can you see the screen?
Okay, good. You can proceed your presentation now.
Thank you. Yeah, I was introducing my organization. Thank you, Professor Alfonso. Maybe there's some similarity between your presentation and my presentation, because we also look at place-based learning, where students can experience and learn real issues in the authentic setting. And we use quite a lot of artistic stimulus and expression in our methodology. I will go to the importance of transformative pedagogy, engaging all the three domains of the educator as well as the student. So transformative pedagogy should be able to help cognitive learning. That means processing new information or thinking critically. But it should also be able to help the student with effective learning or learning from the heart, from emotions, relating to something emotionally, able to process perceptions, attitudes, feelings. And transformative pedagogy should also help the student to experience situations and feel motivated to take some kind of action towards problem solving. So the learning should touch these three domains of the human being. So the reason why we recommend place-based learning is because it is really authentic learning, and authentic learning is a very good platform for transformative education, because it provides the learner with an opportunity to inhabit a real space, to engage with real people, and to learn about issues in the real setting. It also gives the learner an opportunity to take action if they want to, if they feel motivated to do something about the issue or the problem. So there is a change that happens in the learner. So the way we look at it is that, yes, classroom learning will go on, but students are learning mainly theories or concepts from secondary source materials. They learn from simulated problem solving or from modeling. But when they move to the real world and they go into an authentic setting, suddenly the context becomes very clear. All the different variables in the reality, and they have the opportunity to investigate real issues and apply their knowledge from the classroom to problem solve real issues on the ground. So there is a movement from classroom to real world and back again. And this kind of integration is what is missing in today's education system. So I think that it's important to practice both classroom learning and community-based learning. So moving from teacher-centered, instructive, or standardized kind of way of teaching and learning, which engages the head, to more constructive approaches where the student can inquire on their own, they can explore, they can experience, and there is a context which that to the learning. So it's not generic, and it really engages every part of the human being, which is the head, the heart, and the action, the behavior. So we want to find this balance in new type of education. So in place-based projects, it's very important to select the correct location. So whether it is a teacher, institution training teachers to experience place-based learning, or whether it's a teacher wanting to take students out into the community for place-based learning. You can choose according to the subject that you're teaching. You can choose a location near to the institution or to the school. It could be a heritage site, or as Professor Alfonso says, it could be a natural site, a neighborhood, or a elderly center, or a farm, anything. But the choice of the site must fit with the subject and the topic that the teacher wants to pass to the student, as well as the learning goals. And it's very important that the teacher actually conducts some kind of inspection of the location and make some kind of connection with the community and the stakeholders there in order to prepare a good lesson or a project in the community location. So the three important factors needed is the teacher as a facilitator, using very creative methods, very much like what was mentioned by Professor Alfonso, visual, poetry, narratives, any kind of materials, graphics, etc., to stimulate the student and also to give them a perspective, yeah? And then, of course, there are the students who are prepared with knowledge and skills that they need to bring to the community and to the issue that is going to be studied in the community. So in the community, they will gain practical knowledge, and they will look at authentic issues, and they will interact with other human beings, listen to other perspectives, other opinions from the community, not just from the teacher. So there is a learning cycle where the student starts in the classroom, learning about the subject matter and the site and the community, and then the student moving to the ground, to the community, to do mapping and to investigate the site and engage, face-to-face with the community, and then back to the classroom to do critical reflection, analyze the findings, assess the situation, and ideate some kind of solutions. And finally, the student can share their findings with the public or with the community, or even initiate some kind of small action that can lead to change. So some of the characteristics of place-based learning is that it must be located in an authentic space, it should be experiential, there should be applied knowledge, and there should be creative mediums and tools that are employed. I'm going to just go over maybe 3 examples of how our organization actually does place-based learning projects. This is a project advocating for safe playing spaces in the city. This particular one was a 6-session project. where to obtain students' input. That means input and views and perspectives from students for a Safe Cities program. And the children residing in the urban center of town were called together to map safe and unsafe places. So they gathered together to share the problems that they face when they go out into the city to play or to just move around. And they kind of use photography and maps and sticky notes. They walked around and they took photographs and they indicated where was the dangerous places for them and what were the problems in these places. And then they organized their data into some kind of posters, and they presented it to parents as well as to the local council, leaving the local council to take some action about their findings. So this is an example of one project. Here's another project on waste management in a public housing area. This is a 3-year program that we did with the children living in this housing area. And it involved multiple projects where the children gave us the topic, and they said they want to do something about waste management in their apartment block because it was a terrible problem. And if you look at the pictures, we asked them to map using ice cream sticks where is the problem and which part of the building the problem happens at. And then we help them to understand the issue by giving them film screenings on plastics, and also took them on a site visit to a landfill to see how waste is processed. And then they worked with different artists, with visual artists and with choreographers, and also they came up with a documentary to look at how waste was dealt with in their apartment block. And they showed this documentary to the community. And they also produced a dance performance using upcycled plastic as costumes and props. And they performed this story of waste to the community. And then they went further in the 2nd and 3rd year into using trash to make recycled bins, and finally to start a recycling project where they collected waste materials from their neighbors and started to sell it to a recycle shop. So in this case, they use photography, videography, dance, and sculpture to resolve the issue in the apartment block. A third project is set in a market, in a wet market, where we looked at cultural diversity and cultural economy. And in this particular project, which happened with many groups of students going to the market in different years, and each group focusing on different topics according to what was of interest to the teachers, such as diversity of cultural products or produce in a market, or cultural practices in the market, also food safety in the market, workplace ergonomy, and waste management in the market. And if you look at the photos, they first of all familiarize themselves with the context, and then they have a lot of investigation, interviews with customers and vendors in the market. They map and document on the topic or the issue that they're studying, and then they come up with expressions of narratives or photo exhibitions or graphic or even dance productions of what they have analyzed. And one of the final products of this particular place-based project was the production of a board game that is now being brought to schools so that students learn about a market through the board game. Now, I think assessing place-based learning is really tough for teachers, because place-based learning is a process, and we need to really exercise formative assessment as well as summative assessment. And because we want to see whether the student is actually experiencing cognitive learning, effective learning, and behavioral learning, we have to sort of assess, or diagnose what competencies the students have before the project and what competencies they end up with after the project. So have they got some cognitive competencies from this project? Can they critique? Can they problem solve? Can they define things? Have they got effective competencies after the project? Are they able to communicate and work as a team? Are they able to empathize with different opinions, different perspectives, and to respect these perspectives? And the more difficult part is, are they able to demonstrate or perform an action or a change of behavior or advocate some kind of change together with the community? So we have to measure this, all along the process. So you have to, there are lots of tools out there on the internet that we can use to encourage this kind of knowledge building and competency building through place-based learning. And of course, place-based learning is very connected to developing 21st century skills, from theory to inquiry and experience on the ground, to application of classroom knowledge and analysis, and also then taking some form of responsible action, transforming the self or transforming the situation in the community or at a global level. I'd like to talk about training teachers in place-based learning, because I feel a lot of teacher training institutes don't put their teachers through this kind of authentic learning. And it's important to introduce it to teachers at while they're being trained to become, educators. So they would have to learn how to plan, design, and execute place-based project with transformative pedagogy as the methodology. So it's important for teachers during the planning to see whether their school supports them and what are the constraints and how they would manage, to fit this into the school policy and the school curriculum. And then they would have to actually get a group of teachers, because you want to work in an interdisciplinary way with the science teacher, with the art teacher, with the geography teacher, because then you really get multiple tools, multiple mediums, and multiple perspectives into an issue or into learning. And then the designing phase is for the teacher to actually think of what is, looking at the little green diagram on the right, what is the curriculum that she's attending to? What is the subject matter, the concepts that she wants to teach? And then what is the topic, the topic and the theme that she wants to focus on, the issue and the discussion point, and then finding a location that fits with the, with the topic that she wants to disseminate. And once she's got that, then she sits with a group of multidisciplinary teachers and design the learning goals, the lesson plan, the curriculum, the outputs, and the assessment methods, and then execute it in a pilot project together with students and share the outcomes with other peer teachers as well as with the community. So I'm going to actually show you an example of how teachers did this. Basically, this particular project was actually, this particular project was actually carried out it's a geography project carried out in a hill station, which experienced quite severe effects of climate change and very severe erosion on this hill station. So the steps were to help the students understand the context. The teachers made connection with experts to introduce the history and the geography of the hill station and what happened during the landslide. And then second step was a lot of research and documentation where the students and the teachers could actually talk to experts, look at the site, document, look at videos and photographs that were taken of that disaster, and also talk to the community about how they felt and what they did when that disaster happened. What did they feel emotionally, and how were they going to handle the future? How were they going to work together? And the third part was when the students went back to class and reflected on both the geographical aspects using modeling and data synthesis, and also on how the community cooperated to handle the situation. And finally, they communicated their findings to the community that was living on the hill station through exhibition, and also to their peers in school and to the public. It's kind of, feels like a big project. It's very exciting to plan and execute this project. But I'd like you to hear some of the responses from teachers and students who went through this process and how they felt about the place-based project. So just a short video.
这个就真的是不同啊，因为所有的资料全部都是要我们自己去收集，自己去 interview 人，你要去筛选那些 question 之后，你要就有时有时间限制哦。我学 for Mr. Job 我是 General Manager of BAC 嘛，就是当那个土崩的事情发生的时候，可以 lead 这些 volunteer 全部还有他的团队去 restore 这个 Penang Hill。 这些土崩它的威力蛮大，所以我是觉得他们在51天里面能完成是真是一个奇迹啊。
I gained the value cooperation because when they rescued the victims of the landslide, I think it's really important because of that teamwork. All of the people are safe. In the term of doing any project, like example, this project with cooperation and teamwork, you can actually done the project successfully in a short time.
If they stick to the classroom settings, they only talk to people among themselves. If they meet with people outside, it's a more real life experience. They will really gain the knowledge that we were meant to teach. My objective is still to focus on their language, their speaking skills, how they communicate with other people, and build up their self-confidence. Because we often seen schools like ITAM, we are in a kind of a band 6 school, they are less exposed to the outside world. So going to this actually gives them opportunity to talk to people around them. I was a student before. I know it's quite boring sometimes to be staying in class. Anything to get out of the classroom is already a plus. Plus, right now we have this 21st century learning and more focus on them doing it instead of the teachers doing it.
So basically what makes a good PBL project is, getting an authentic setting, having topics, a learning context which is relevant to the student, topics from the curriculum that is related to people and to the community, and then supportive partners, cooperation from the school head and other teachers, and the collaboration of stakeholders in the community. And I think facilitation skills from the teacher. The teacher really needs to be trained in facilitation and in using creative strategies like, visual stories, narratives, any kind of, movement, dance, photography, video, which helps the student to engage not only cognitively, but also with their hearts and with their behavior. And of course, having very achievable results so that the students feel they have really managed to do something. They have managed to contribute to advocacy or problem solving. They have gained some skills and competencies through the PBL project. I'd like to end with this quote on transformative pedagogy, which can transform how the learner perceives the world, how the learner inhabits and functions in a real world, and how the learner engages with the real world in order to transform it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janet Pillai. Yeah, from the audience, we will ask you one question. Wait for a moment. 감사드립니다. 우리 순서를 바꾸어서 그 자네 필라이 선생님을 제일 마지막 순서로 한 것은 정말 잘한 선택이었던 것 같습니다. 오늘의 강의를 마무리하는데 정말 적합한 강의가 아니었나 그런 생각이 드는데요. 혹시 이 강의를 들으시면서 혹시 이 청중들 중에 질문이 있으시면 자유롭게 해주시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 한두 질문 정도 받고 우리가 마무리하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 저쪽에.
네, 안녕하세요. 명지전문대학에서 온 방진하라고 하는데요. 너무 재미있게 들었습니다. 또 다른 의미의 PBL이 있다는 것을 생각하게 되어서 너무 신선하고 재미있었는데 이 플레이스가 굉장히 어려운 플레이스더라고요. 그러니까 재해가 있는 지역이라든지 쓰레기를 청소해야 되는 지역이라든지 시장이라든지 굉장히 위험해 보이고 그런데 선생님께서 이 새로운 의미의 PBL에 굉장히 중요하다고 생각하시는 게 서포티브 파트너스들인데 저희는 이것을 저희 현실에서 적용할 때 가장 염려가 되는 게 이 부분이 아닌가 싶은데 혹시 말레이시아 사회나 이런 여기서 이렇게 이런 파트너들에게 도움을 얻는 그런 특별한 어떤 노하우가 있는지 아니면 워낙 이렇게 좀 어려움은 없으신지 직접 겪으신 그런 것들을 좀 알고 싶습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 영어로 직접 질문하실 수 있습니다. 선생님. 하실 수 있나요? 아니요. Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Janet Pillai. It's truly insightful lecture for us. You mentioned there are a lot of plays in this transformative education. Also, you put importance on the plays. So, for the place-based learning, we need a supportive partner. So you mentioned a supportive partner. Yeah. So do you have any example in Malaysia? How can you cooperate the supportive partner, or can you mention about this example of a supportive partner in your country?
Yeah. When I say supportive partners, they must come from the location where the teacher wants to go. So, for example, when we work in the market, we actually, communicated with the management of the market and let them know that we are coming with students, to come and learn in the market. So the management gave us permission, and if we need any support from them, they are very happy to do that. When we worked at the Penang Hill, then we had to look at the Penang Hill Corporation and let them know that we are coming. We also meet with people on the ground. That means people who help with the disaster management, the fire brigade that was working on the hill, the residents association that that means all the residents on the hill have their own association. So we meet all these people organizations that already exist in the site. And we let them know that we want to come and we want to bring students to learn. And they're always very excited that schools are showing an interest in their location, where they live or where they work. So we have no problems. I mean, we think that we need official partners, but actually you don't. These are very informal partners, people who actually work and live in that place. And maybe they have an NGO or they have an association or they have a role, a public role, like, the fire brigade or the village hitman. So these are our partners.
Okay, thank you. 그 사회의 공동체적인 분위기가 얼마나 중요한가 그런 생각을 하게 되는데요. 이러한 서포티브 파트너를 위해서 사회에 이미 기존에 있는 조직들이나 NGO나 혹은 비영리 단체나 혹은 포멀하거나 인포멀하거나 그러한 그 시스템 속의 여러 조직들이 함께 협력하여서 여기에 동참하고 그럼으로써 우리가 이 트랜스포머티브 에듀케이션을 위한 또 하나의 공동체가 되는 거 아닌가 그런 생각을 해봅니다. 네, 혹시 청중 중에 다른 질문 있으실까요? 네네. 혹시 영어가 가능하시면 영어로 하셔도 되고 한글이 편하시면 한글로 하셔도 됩니다.
Hello, Professor. My name is Seong Jung, and I'm a student of this Cheongju National University of Education. First of all, thank you for the interesting lecture today. So I could learn a lot of. I could learn PBL education for the teachers, but maybe after I graduate this school, I will become an elementary school teacher. So I want to hear your advice for the pre-elementary school teacher for PBL education. So is there any essential progress for the pre-elementary school teacher for the PBL education?
I think that PBL is actually best for upper elementary. I think upper elementary students gain the most out of PBL, and of course secondary students as well. But there is no harm, making a mini version of PBL for pre-elementary students somewhere very close, maybe the canteen of the school, or just the parking lot of the school, or somewhere nearby to the pre-elementary school, and using the same elements and the same methodology. It is very possible. It's just that you have to cut the time period to maybe the attention span of pre-elementary students, so that it's very short, and the topics, of course, have to be of interest to pre-elementary students. For example, the state of their toilets, or the food they eat in the canteen, topics like that.
Okay, thank you, Jana Pillai. It's time to close our session. We appreciate your truly insightful lecture, both of Janet Pillai and Professor De La Vega. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. 네, 오늘 이것으로 청주 교대에서 마련한 변혁적 교사들을 위한 오늘 오후 학술 세션을 마무리하게 되었는데요. 오늘 기조 강연도 그렇고 오후에 우리가 들었던 이 학술 세션들이 조금 연결되는 지점이 있는 것 같습니다. 굉장히 아이러니컬하게 우리가 올해 AIDT로의 전환을 앞두고 있는 그래서 굉장히 인비저블한 그 공간 내에 굉장히 진입할 이 시점에 오히려 이러한 그 물리적으로 또 신체적으로 서로 공유된 이러한 공간의 중요성을 강조하는 그런 강연을 기조 강연에서도 우리가 들었습니다. Physically shared space의 중요성으로서의 그 학교 공간이 가지는 중요성, 그리고 또 그러한 교사들의 실천적 지혜를 위해서 그러한 실천 공동체, 그죠? Community of Practice라는 그 실천 공동체의 또한 중요성, 그 속에서 우리가 교사들의 실천적 지혜가 자랄 수 있다는 그러한 말씀도 들었고, 또 지리학적인 이러한 공간이 가지는 중요성과 또 연결해서 우리는 프로젝트 베이스드 러닝만 알고 있었는데 이러한 플레이스 베이스드 러닝이 가지는 중요성에 대해서 계속 듣게 되어서 우리가 기후 위기며 그리고 디지털로의 대전환을 앞두고 있는 이러한 불확실성이 증가하는 시대이지만 여전히 대면 대 대면 사람과 사람이 마주해서 공유할 수 있는 우리의 이 공간, 그것이 가지는 힘, 그리고 그 속에서 우리가 함께 참여함으로써 공유하는 우리의 문화, 그 속에서 우리의 학교 문화가 자라갈 수 있다는 것을 배우게 되어서 굉장히 그 학교와 그곳을 지키는 교사들이 얼마나 중요한가, 그런 것을 또 새삼 알게 되었던 것 같습니다. 이것으로 오늘 마지막 세션은 마무리하고 저희가 내일을 또 준비하도록 그렇게 하겠습니다. 그 오늘 발표된 모든 영상은 청주교육대학교 교육연구원의 유튜브 채널에 게시되어서 다시 보기를 통해서 시청하실 수 있습니다. 늦은 시간까지 이 자리에 함께 하셔서 이 자리를 빛내주신 모든 내빈 여러분께 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 이것으로 오늘 학술 세션 마치도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.